Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are not just looking at a person. I mean, we are, but we're also looking at an entire era. We're unpacking a story that is, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, the definitive fable of the internet age.
It really is. We're talking about a single individual who somehow managed to get a following larger than the population of most major countries.
Larger than Germany, yeah.
Yeah.
And he completely disrupted the gaming industry, basically from a desk in his bedroom. And then somehow found himself at the absolute epicenter of a global culture war.
A massive, massive topic. We are, of course, talking about Felix Arvid Ulf Kjellberg.
Known to the entire world as PewDiePie.
PewDiePie.
Is one of those names. Even if you have never, ever watched a single minute of his videos, you know the name. It's reached that level of cultural osmosis.
And the scale is it's genuinely hard to wrap your head around. Over 110 million subscribers.
And the view count is even crazier. 29.4 billion views.
Billion. With a B. To put that in perspective, that is more views than there are people on the planet. Several times over.
I remember Stephen Colbert called him the emperor of the internet.
And he wasn't really joking. In Time magazine, they put him on their list of the 100 most influential people in the world.
Right, but at the same time, and this is the paradox, he's been this lightning rod. He got dropped by Disney. He was condemned constantly by mainstream media.
And in some cases, cited in truly tragic real-world events. It's a huge contradiction.
It is, and that's the core question we really want to dig into today. How does a, by all accounts, shy, kind of awkward engineering student from Sweden become the most famous person on the digital planet?
And what happens when you put that level of influence, that power, on the shoulders of someone who, frankly, never really asked for it? He never wanted to be a leader.
That's our mission for today. We have a massive stack of sources here. We've got biographical deep dives, career analytics, really detailed timelines of all the controversies.
And reports on his more recent shift into what he calls his soft retirement.
So we're going to trace the entire arc, from literally selling hot dogs to fund his passion, all the way to creating a media empire.
And I think the best place to start is we have to dismantle the myth. There's this idea that gets applied to, tech founders and media stars, the visionary genius narrative.
Oh, yeah, the Steve Jobs story, that he saw the future 10 years out and just built towards it.
Exactly. A lot of people just assume Felix dropped out of college because he had this grand vision for YouTube, that he knew it was going to be huge, and he had this master plan to conquer it.
The classic burn the boats entrepreneur story. I'm quitting my safe path to chase this crazy dream.
But the reality is so much more relatable, and honestly, it's funnier. Felix was born in Gothenburg, Sweden, back in 1989. And his background isn't what you'd expect. It's not this scrappy outsider story.
No, it's actually quite corporate.
Yeah.
Almost elite.
Very. His parents were successful corporate executives. His mother was a CIO, a chief information officer, and was actually named CIO of the Year in Sweden in 2010.
Wow. Okay, so not exactly a rebellious upbringing.
Not at all. His dad was also a corporate executive, so Felix grew up in this world of, professionalism, high expectations, a very clear path to success.
He was on the success conveyor belt.
Right.
Go to a good school, get a good degree, get a good job.
And he was doing it. He got into Chalmers University of Technology, which is a really prestigious school in Sweden. He was pursuing a degree in industrial engineering and management.
That is the path to a corner office and a stable, comfortable life.
Absolutely. And he was miserable. He hated it.
So the dropout narrative, it wasn't about YouTube at all.
Not even a little bit. He quit because he had zero interest in the coursework. It wasn't for him. In fact, he said later, and this is a direct quote, that the idea of dropping out for YouTube would have been fucking stupid at the time.
Because you have to remember the context. This is what, 2010, 2011? YouTube wasn't a career. It was a website where you watched, videos of cats falling off of tables. Charlie bit my finger. That's what YouTube was.
Precisely. There was no clear path to monetization. There were no brand deals as we know them. So when he told his parents he was leaving Chalmers, they were, understandably, furious.
They saw him stepping off this perfect path into nothing.
A void, yeah. And so they cut him off financially.
The safety net is gone.
Completely gone. So here he is, the man who would one day be called the emperor of the internet. And he's spending his early 20s working as a harbor captain.
A harbor captain? That sounds surprisingly authoritative. I'm picturing him with a big hat.
It does, doesn't it? But he was also, and this is the famous part, working at a hot dog stand.
There it is. From a future in industrial engineering to slinging hot dogs. That is a pivot.
It's a very humble pivot. But he wasn't just drifting. This is the key. He was hustling. He had this very strong artistic side. He was really good with Photoshop.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he would make these limited edition prints of his Photoshop art and sell them. He had a real passion for visual design. In fact, he almost got an apprenticeship at a huge, prominent advertising agency in Scandinavia.
Wow. Imagine that sliding doors moment. If he gets that job, PewDiePie, as we know it, just never happens.
He didn't make the cut, so he took the money he made from selling his art prints and from the hot dog stand, and he bought a computer.
And that computer has to be the single greatest return on investment in the history of consumer electronics.
Probably, yeah. But again, the intention wasn't, I'm going to build an empire. He bought it just to make videos for fun. He described himself back then as being incredibly shy.
Which is funny, considering his on-screen persona.
Totally. He said he found the idea of sitting alone in a room, talking to a microphone, to be genuinely weird, but he also said it was compelling.
It's that barrier, isn't it? The screen gives you kind of protection. You can be loud and expressive and scream at a camera in a way you probably wouldn't in a room full of people.
It was a release for him, a way to break out of that shy shell.
Okay, we have to talk about the name. PewDiePie. It is iconic now, but if you actually stop and think about it for 2 seconds, it's complete, utter nonsense.
It is a perfect artifact of early internet culture. The story is amazing. He originally registered an account way back in 2006 called Pewdie.
Just Pewdie.
Yeah. Pew for the sound a laser gun makes.
Pew pew pew.
And
Yeah.
die, because, well, in video games you die a lot.
Simple. Makes sense. Laser sound death. I get it.
But then, the great tragedy of 2010 struck. He forgot the password.
No way. The most famous brand in the history of new media exists because a Swedish college student forgot his login details.
That is exactly right. On April 29th, 2010, she had to make a new account. He just took the old name, Pewdie, and tacked pie on the end.
Why pie?
He just liked pie.
That's it.
That's it. It wasn't a marketing strategy. It wasn't a focus group brand identity. It was a workaround for a lost password.
That is just perfect. So 2010, he starts uploading to this new PewDiePie channel. What was the content landscape like back then? Because I think we take the whole Let's Play format for granted now.
It was really the dawn of the genre. For anyone who might not be super familiar, a Let's Play is just... it's a video documenting someone's playthrough of a video game, usually with their commentary over it.
Right. But before Felix, a lot of that content was very instructional or
Right.
skill-based.
Exactly. You watch to learn how to beat a specific level or where to find a secret item. It was like a video version of a game guide.
Go down this hall, turn left, pick up the key, shoot the guy in the head. Very practical.
And Felix completely changed the value proposition. He focused on horror games, specifically a game called Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
Oh, that game was terrifying.
Truly terrifying. There are no weapons. You are completely helpless, just being stalked by these horrifying monsters. You can't fight. You can only run and hide.
It's designed to induce pure panic.
And that's what he tapped into. He didn't try to be the brave, stoic hero clearing the level. He leaned into the fear. He screamed. He yelped. He hyperventilated. He would fall out of his chair.
I remember he would give funny voices to inanimate objects like chairs and barrels, just to cope with the tension.
Yes. So he made the video about his reaction to the game, not about the game mechanics themselves.
That is the crucial shift. It stopped being a walkthrough, and it became a performance.
It was performance. He brought what you could call emotional contagion to gaming. If he was scared, you felt scared. If he was laughing hysterically at some glitch, you were laughing too. It transformed gaming from a solitary hobby into this shared emotional experience.
And this started to catch on.
It started to, slowly at first. By the end of 2011, he had around 60,000 subscribers, which, is a respectable number, but it's not world-changing.
No, that's a successful hobbyist. That's not a career.
But then 2012 hits, and the growth curve just goes vertical. It's a hockey stick. He hits 500,000 in May 2012,
Okay.
then 1 million in July,
2 months later.
then 2 million in September.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
exponential. He's doubling his audience every couple of months.
It was absolutely explosive. By August of 2013, he officially surpassed Smosh to become the most subscribed user on all of YouTube.
And Smosh were the kings at that point. They were untouchable.
We were the institution, and he just blasted past them.
That's a rocket ship. What was driving that incredible growth? Was it just the horror game screaming? Or did he figure something out about community that other people just weren't getting?
It was the bro army. This is a crucial insight for anyone studying online community building. Felix completely destroyed the pedestal that celebrities usually stand on.
Right. With movie stars or musicians, there's this distance. They are up there, and we, the fans, are down here.
And Felix just erased that line. He positioned himself as a peer. He was just a guy, a bro.
He was literally in his bedroom, just like his viewers were.
He called his fans bros.
Yeah.
And he ended every single video with a bro fist. He would physically make a fist and bump it against the camera lens.
It sounds so simple, so silly, but it created this powerful psychological link. It wasn't him signing off. It was him saying goodbye to you, personally.
It felt like a friendship. He wasn't performing at you from a stage. He was hanging out with you in your room.
That parasocial relationship where the audience feels a genuine two-way bond with a media figure, that is an incredibly powerful force.
Immensely. And it wasn't just powerful for his view counts. It started to have a real, tangible effect on the actual gaming industry.
This is what people call the PewDiePie effect, right?
Exactly. It became the Oprah effect of the gaming world. You know how if Oprah recommends a book, it becomes an instant #1 bestseller?
Oh yeah, the Oprah Book Club bump. It could make an author's career overnight.
This was the same thing, but for video games. Indie developers started realizing that getting a positive review on a big site like IGN or GameSpot was nice.
But getting PewDiePie to play your game and scream at it for 15 minutes.
That was a gold mine. That was better than any marketing campaign you could buy. That could translate to millions of sales.
Do we have specific examples of games that basically owe their success to him?
Oh, absolutely. McPixel is a great one. The developers explicitly came out and credited Let's Play videos, mainly from him and another creator named Jesse Cox, for driving the game's massive success.
And Slender. They're 8 pages too, right? That game was everywhere for a while.
He was a huge part of that. And then there's Goat Simulator.
Goat Simulator.
Yeah.
I 100% played that game solely because I saw a video of him playing it. It was a broken, buggy mess, but it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen.
And that's the key. He didn't just play critically acclaimed good games. He played weird, broken, so bad it's good games, and he turned them into cultural moments.
Flappy Bird is another one.
Yes. He didn't just play these games, he anointed them. He made them into memes. He became so influential that developers started putting Easter eggs for him in their games. There's a level in McPixel designed in his honor.
And wasn't there something in Surgeon Simulator?
Yes, Surgeon Simulator 2013 has an in-game organ called the Pewds Ball.
You know you've really made it when you become a fictional organ in a surgery simulator. That's the pinnacle.
It really solidified this idea that a single individual could move markets more effectively than a multi-million-dollar marketing department. But of course, that level of fame, it had a downside.
Right. You can't go from an anonymous student to a global superstar without some serious friction. And that bro army was intense.
Incredibly intense, and Felix in the early days was known for being very accessible and genuine with them. There's a story from the 2013 Social Star Awards in Singapore where he just ignored his security team to run into the crowd and high-five fans. He loved that connection.
But that door swings both ways. When you're that accessible, people feel entitled to that access.
They do, and later, he had these really scary incidents where fans would hunt him down at his hotel in Malaysia and Singapore. They were literally stalking him.
That's terrifying.
It was. And he had to come out and apologize because he called them crazy in a blog post. But it highlighted this massive loss of privacy. He said in an interview that he grew to not enjoy being treated as more than a person.
That transition from guy in a bedroom to global celebrity being hunted in hotels must be incredibly jarring. And it seems like that pressure eventually led to a shift in his content. When we get to around 2015, 2016, things start to change.
The cracks were definitely showing. I think he was just getting bored. And you can't blame him. Think about it. He'd been playing video games and screaming for 5 years straight.
There's only so many times you can get jump scared in a horror game before it loses its novelty.
Right. And he felt his growth had plateaued, which sounds crazy because he was already huge, but he felt stagnant. He didn't want to just play games anymore. He said he felt it was immature.
So he starts to pivot, to experiment.
Yes. He started doing more vlogs, more sketch comedy, engaging with meme culture more directly. And, well, he started reading erotic fan fiction on his channel.
Wait. Erotic fan fiction.
Specifically, erotic fan fiction based on the Disney movie Frozen.
Oh boy. Okay, I have to pause you there because the context is so important. At this point in time, he was signed to Maker Studios, correct?
Correct. And Maker Studios was a huge multi-channel network that had been bought lock, stock, and barrel by the Walt Disney Company. So technically, PewDiePie was on the Disney payroll.
I cannot imagine Bob Iger was thrilled about his star YouTube talent reading Frozen erotica to millions of people.
All sources suggest he was not. It reportedly angered Disney executives quite a bit. And this was really the first major sign of the friction that was to come. You have this chaotic, unfiltered, internet-native creator.
Clashing with a polished, family-friendly corporate parent company that is famously protective of its brand.
It's a total clash of cultures. And this era also coincided with a big technical shift at YouTube that I think is really important to explain. People started calling it the algorithm war.
Right. This is crucial for understanding the modern internet. Around 2016, YouTube changed its recommendation system.
Yes. It moved away from prioritizing raw clicks, which had encouraged all sorts of clickbait titles and thumbnails, and it started prioritizing things like watch time and daily engagement.
So it wasn't enough to get someone to click on your video anymore. You had to actually get them to stay and watch it.
Exactly. And Felix felt this change was hurting creators. Specifically, he felt it was hurting him. He was incredibly vocal about it, claiming the platform was hiding his videos from his own subscribers.
So what did he do?
He pulled a massive stunt. He announced that he was going to delete his channel once he hit 50 million subscribers.
I remember this. It was everywhere. It was on CNN. It was on major news outlets. Is PewDiePie really deleting his channel? The internet went into a meltdown.
It was a masterclass in generating hype. He hits 50 million subscribers, the first creator in history to do so, and he did delete a channel.
But not the channel.
No, he deleted a tiny secondary channel he had made as a joke called Jacksepticeye 2.
That is such a classic internet troll move. It's brilliant, in a way.
It was, but it proved his point. He could command the world's attention with a single threat. He also did another video where he asked his fans to get it to 1 million dislikes.
Why?
Just to see what would happen. It ended up with over 5 million dislikes, becoming one of the most disliked videos on the entire platform at the time. He was essentially playtesting the algorithm in public, poking the beast to see how it would react.
He was gaming the system that was trying to game him. But as we move into 2017, this edgy humor and this boundary pushing, it stops being about algorithms and stunts, and it starts getting into much, much darker territory.
Yes. 2017 is really the turning point where the PewDiePie phenomenon shifts from a simple success story into a very complex, very public cautionary tale about accountability and context collapse.
Let's unpack the Wall Street Journal incident first. This was January 2017.
Right. So this centered on a video where he was using that website, Fiverr. He wanted to demonstrate how crazy the service was. His whole thesis was that people would do literally anything for $5.
So he sets up a test to prove his point.
He paid 2 men in a developing country to hold up a scroll, like a big paper banner. And on that banner, he paid them to write the words, "Death to all Jews."
Yeah. I mean, there's just no way to spin that as being okay.
It's indefensible. And in the video, when he sees that they actually went through with it, he looks genuinely shocked. He laughs nervously. He apologizes on camera. He says, "I didn't think they would actually do it."
So his defense, his argument, was that he was mocking the platform. He was trying to create shock humor about the absurdity of the internet, not actually endorsing anti-Semitism.
That was the claim.
Oh.
But the media and a lot of the public did not see it that way.
No. The Wall Street Journal did a deep investigation. They went through his back catalog and found other videos that had what they termed anti-Semitic imagery or Nazi-related jokes. They compiled all of this and went to his corporate partners.
And the fallout was instant and severe.
Immediate. Disney's Maker Studios cut all ties with them. Gone.
And YouTube canceled the second season of his premium show, Scare PewDiePie. They also removed him from Google Preferred, which is the top-tier advertising program that gives creators the best ad rates.
So he lost the corporate backing. Overnight, he became radioactively toxic to major brands.
He was, and this created this massive, massive divide. To his fans, the bro army, this was the evil mainstream media taking jokes out of context to destroy their favorite independent creator. They saw it as a deliberate hit job.
But to the mainstream world, to advertisers, to the Jewish community, it wasn't a joke. It was hate speech, plain and simple.
It's that context collapse we always talk about. A joke that might work for a specific edgy subculture looks absolutely horrifying when it's broadcast to 50 million people, many of whom are children.
Exactly. And Felix, he rebuked the journal strongly, but he did also release an apology acknowledging the joke went too far. But then, Later that same year, September 2017, the bridge incident happened.
And this one is, I think, much harder to defend as commentary or satire. This wasn't a scripted bit.
No, this was a live moment.
He was live streaming the game PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG. He was in a really heated, stressful moment in the game on a bridge in a firefight, and he got frustrated and lashed out at another player.
And he used a racial slur.
Yeah. He shouted the N-word, hard R.
It just slipped out in a moment of anger.
Which, some people argued made it even worse. It sparked a huge backlash. A game developer, Campo Santo, who made the game Firewatch, even filed copyright strikes against his videos in protest.
I remember that. They released a statement calling him worse than a closeted racist.
And how did Felix handle that one?
He apologized. He released a video where he seemed genuinely shaken. He called himself an idiot. He even used their own words against himself, saying what he did was worse than a closeted racist because of how casually he said it. He seemed truly horrified by his own behavior.
It just felt like 2017 was one disaster after another for him. And then, to cap it all off, in late 2018, there was the shout-out controversy.
The ER channel. So in a video, he was recommending smaller YouTube channels that he enjoyed, which is usually a great thing for a big creator to do.
Right. And he promoted a channel called ER for an anime review they had done of Death Note.
Okay, an anime review. Sounds harmless enough.
The problem was when people started digging into that channel's other videos, they found content filled with white supremacist messaging, anti-Semitic jokes, and even celebratory imagery of the Charlottesville car attack.
Wow. Did he know about that other content?
He claimed total ignorance. He said he had only watched the one anime review and had no idea about the rest of the channel's content. He quickly revoked the recommendation and edited the video to remove it.
But by that point, for his critics, the narrative was set. The damage was done. They saw him as a gateway, a pipeline to the alt-right, whether he intended to be or not.
It's a pattern, isn't it? Flirting with edgy humor, crossing a line, apologizing, but then tripping up again and again. And it fed directly into this massive culture war that was brewing online.
It did. And that culture war reached its absolute peak with the Battle Against T-Series.
The Great Subscriber War. I remember this so vividly. For a period of about 6 months, you could not go anywhere on the internet without seeing the phrase, subscribe to PewDiePie.
He was everywhere. What was the premise?
So this started in late 2018. T-Series is this massive Indian record label and film production company. You can think of them as like the VEVO of India.
Okay, a huge corporation.
A huge corporation. And they were growing at an incredible rate, mainly because of India's rapidly expanding internet access. And projections showed they were on pace to overtake PewDiePie as the most subscribed channel on all of YouTube.
And the internet decided this wasn't just about two channels competing for a number, it was symbolic.
It became man versus machine. The narrative was the independent creator, the guy in his bedroom, versus the faceless corporation, and it galvanized the entire YouTube community.
You had other massive creators getting involved. Mr. Beast bought billboards and radio ads.
You had hackers targeting thousands of printers around the world to print out flyers saying, subscribe to PewDiePie. Someone even paid to have a plane fly a banner over New York City.
It became a genuine movement. It was almost like a political campaign, but for a YouTuber.
It was. And Felix leaned into it hard, especially with the music. He released the diss track, Bitch Lasagna.
A viral sensation.
It became his most viewed video ever. It was this anthemic, catchy track mocking T-Series. But it also drew a lot of criticism for some of its lyrics.
Right, there were lines that were seen as mocking the Indian background of the label. There were references to the Bob's and Vagana meme, which was a stereotype about Indian internet users.
And that led to lawsuits. Courts in India eventually blocked the video for being defamatory and racist. But the war just raged on. He released a second track, Congratulations.
Which was even more aggressive, right?
Much more. It accused the company of having mafia connections and selling pirated songs in its early days. It was a full-on attack.
But this meme war, which felt like fun and games to a lot of people online, it took a horrific and tragic turn. We have to talk about Christchurch.
This is the darkest moment in the entire timeline. In March of 2019, a shooter in Christchurch, New Zealand, live-streamed a terrorist attack on 2 mosques. It was a horrific act of white supremacist violence.
And just before the attack began, he looked into his camera and said,
remember, lads, subscribe to PewDiePie.
I can't imagine what that must feel like. To hear your name, your brand, your meme, used as a sort of rallying cry by a mass murderer in that context.
Felix was, by all accounts, disgusted and horrified. He tweeted immediately, disavowing the violence, saying he felt sickened and offering his condolences. But it was a terrible wake-up call. The meme had escaped the internet.
It was being written on war memorials. It was becoming associated with real-world chaos and violence.
And so he ended it.
He released a video in April 2019, just a month later, and officially called for an end to the subscribe to PewDiePie movement. He cited the graffiti and, most importantly, the Christchurch tragedy. He said it had to stop.
He essentially conceded the race to T-Series for the good of, well, for the good of society.
And eventually T-Series did pass him.
They did. But in the end, Felix became the first individual creator to hit 100 million subscribers. YouTube even gave him a special award, the Red Diamond Play Button. It was a custom award just for him.
It really feels like hitting that 100 million mark and the end of the T-Series war, it marked the end of an era for him. Because after that, he changed again, drastically.
He did. This is what we call the Renaissance, or the soft retirement era.
And it started with a game that everybody knows, Minecraft.
In June of 2019, he just started playing Minecraft. Now, he'd played it years and years ago, but he returned to it with this genuine sense of fun. He wasn't trying to be edgy. He wasn't screaming for the sake of it. He was just enjoying himself.
He built a little house for his digital dog, Sven. He created this whole ongoing storyline. It was surprisingly wholesome.
And the audience absolutely loved it. They adored it. It completely revitalized his channel. In July 2019 alone, he got 573 million views, which was a monthly record for him.
And it made Minecraft popular again.
The PewDiePie effect struck again. It actually made Minecraft the top trending game on YouTube again, beating out Fortnite, which was the undisputed king at the time.
But this time, the effect was it was wholesome. It felt like a return to innocence for him and his channel.
It really was, and it signaled a major shift in his personal life, too. In August of 2019, he married Marcia Bisognan. They'd been together forever, since 2011.
She was the one he moved to Italy for in the very early days. Then they moved to Brighton in England together.
A really long-term, stable relationship. And they started branching out into other ventures. They launched a brand together, right?
Yes, Tsuki, which is a unisex clothing brand. It showed he was thinking beyond just making videos. He was building something more lasting.
And then came the big move, the move to Japan. This was something he had been talking about for years and years.
It was a long and difficult saga. They bought a house in Japan way back in 2019, but then just a string of disasters. Their house in Japan was burglarized.
And then the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and Japan closed its borders tight for years. They were just stuck in limbo.
But they finally made it.
May 2022, they finally moved to Tokyo. And this is where the soft retirement really takes shape and becomes his new reality.
He starts uploading these vlogs just about daily life in Tokyo, going to get coffee, walking around the neighborhood, enjoying a degree of anonymity.
And that anonymity seems to be a huge part of it. In the UK or the US, he gets stopped every 5 feet. In Tokyo, for the most part, he's just another tall foreigner.
He gets to be a person again.
Exactly. He explicitly says he considers himself retired. In one video, he explained his philosophy now. He said, "Why should I quit? It's my dream. YouTube has become fun again."
He stopped chasing the algorithm. He stopped caring about being number one. He just started making whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted.
And, of course, the biggest life change of all, he became a dad.
Right. In June 2023, he announced a hiatus for the birth of his son, Bjorn. It's a complete 180-degree evolution. From the screaming 20-year-old in a messy bedroom to a father pushing a stroller through a park in Tokyo.
It's an incredible arc.
I want to touch on the business and money side of this before we wrap up, because you don't get to 110 million subscribers without making some very serious money. But he's always been kind of weird about it, hasn't he?
Very uncomfortable discussing it. The estimates are all over the place, but back in 2013, he was supposedly making around $4 million a year. By 2016, Forbes estimated it was closer to $15 million.
But whenever it came up in interviews, he would get really awkward. He called it disrespectful to talk about it in front of his fans. He said the level of influence he had was scary.
But to his credit, he has used that influence and that money for a lot of charity work.
A huge amount. He's raised millions of dollars. He did a water campaign for an organization called Charity, water that raised almost $450,000.
He did a holiday live stream series called Cringemas that raised over $1.3 million for Red D, the organization that fights HIV/AIDS. in partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
And didn't he donate to that big Teen Trees initiative?
He did. He donated $69,420.
Of course he did. A perfect meme number, but for a good cause.
But even his charity work wasn't without controversy. This is a fascinating story. In 2019, to celebrate hitting 100 million subscribers, he pledged to donate $50,000 to the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL.
For the ADL, that seems, I mean, that's a surprising choice given his history with the Wall Street Journal and the accusations of anti-Semitism.
It was almost certainly meant to be an olive branch, a gesture of moving past that entire era, a peace offering.
His fan base revolted.
They revolted. They spread all these conspiracy theories that he was being blackmailed by the ADL. They criticized the ADL's own political stances and track record. The backlash was immense.
So what did he do?
He withdrew the donation. He released a video saying he hadn't handpicked the charity passionately enough and that he felt rushed. He promised to donate the money elsewhere.
Wow. That really shows you that he was still, in some ways, beholden to his audience in a way that mainstream celebrities just aren't.
The crowd has veto power. It's this really complex leader versus follower dynamic where sometimes the followers are leading.
To be fair, he did also step up during the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. He raised over $116,000 for the Sentencing Project and for victims of police brutality. So he was clearly still trying to use the platform for good, even if it was complicated.
Absolutely.
So bringing this all together, we have a guy who starts out selling art and hot dogs, becomes the biggest entertainment store on the planet, gets canceled, gets uncanceled, fights a global corporation in a subscriber war, and then retires to Japan to become a dad.
It is the definitive internet story. There's no other story that captures the highs, the lows, the absurdity, and the power of this era better than his.
So what's the legacy here? When we look back on this in 20 years, what does PewDiePie mean?
I think there are three main pillars to his legacy. First, he legitimized the YouTuber as a viable career path. He proved you didn't need a TV network or a movie studio to be a global star. He basically built the road that every other creator is now driving on.
Right. Every kid today who wants to be a streamer or a TikTok star is in some way chasing the path that he cut through the jungle.
Second, he proved that a single individual could not just compete with, but actually rival traditional media networks in terms of reach and influence. He showed that one person with a camera could be more powerful than an entire cable network.
And the third pillar.
Resilience and evolution. He weathered cancellation multiple times. He evolved from a screaming shock jock playing horror games to a quiet family vlogger. Most internet stars burn out or fade away in 3 years. He stayed at the absolute top for over a decade.
It really makes you think about that Oprah effect we mentioned at the start. Felix has always claimed he just wants to play games, that he doesn't want to influence sales or culture. But is it even possible to have 110 million listeners and not be a leader?
And that's the ultimate question, isn't it? Does the platform create the monster or does the creator? And when you have that much power, that much influence, can you ever really just be a guy in a bedroom again? I think his retirement to Japan is his attempt to answer that, to try and reclaim Felix Kjellberg, the person, from PewDiePie, the brand.
A truly fascinating case study in fame, media, and the strange new world of the internet. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. It was a big one.
And thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.